Good evening and welcome to our YouTube channel, Into the Darkness, where my friends and I play the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. I'm your host, Tom Rayleigh. Tonight we have episode 14 of Horror on the Orient Express, with yours truly as the GM. Our recap tonight will be given by Jeff Wilkins. Jeff?
Thanks, Tom. Okay, our last episode started off with our investigator standing at a door about to enter a dreamland version of Lesane. While certain things seem the same, there are other big differences, such as misty or foggy areas and a sort of a medieval look to the town. We started off by looking into what was Edgar's taxidermy shop. The inside is very different from the real-world taxidermy shop. Animals are half done, the smell of rotting flesh, as well as the shop is lit by torches and not electric lights. There was an interesting theory presented about the Dreamlands too, in that the world is not just created by one person, but rather a sort of a shared consciousness of what many people agree upon. We were unable to gain access to Edgar's bedroom, so we leave and start heading towards the church at the top of the hill. As we're walking up the street, and with each intersection, we see various visions. I won't go into all the different visions, but instead encourage you all to watch the last episode to hear about all the strange imagery. Finally, we arrive at the church itself, and there's a dais with a statue of Otto, and next to him is the Duke. Also kneeling in chains is Edgar Wellington. This is a trial of some sorts, but very biased in the Duke's favor. The Duke also appears to be made of stitched skin of other different sources and other bodies. Dr. Dawkins steps up and agrees to attempt to defend Edgar Wellington on his trial. We listen to a bunch of accusations coming from the Duke. The statue of Otto has now been animated and appears to be the judge. We listen to these accusations and we present counter-arguments against them. There's a lot of back and forth, and we try to figure out how to best defeat the Duke in his logic, in what is clearly a rigged trial. Eventually, the arguments are over, and Otto makes a final decision, and he rules in our favor. Edgar's chains are broken, and we help him to his feet. Edgar tells us that the Sedefkar scroll is back in his taxidermy shop. We realize the crowd is starting to turn against us and start to run for escape. We make it to the taxidermy shop safely and barricade the door. Once inside, Edgar tells us that he has hidden the scroll inside of a large bear. Dr. Dawkins reaches his arm down the bear's throat and finds the scroll case. We then go upstairs and enter Edgar's bedroom, where it's pitch black. We then come back to reality, where we're back in our hotel room. For a split second, too, we see Edgar reaching out for help, but then he fades away. Once we come to our senses, we make the decision to leave as quickly as possible and get back on the Orient Express. Once on board the train, we read a translation of the scroll, also provided by Edgar. It appears to be the ramblings of a madman. We learn that the scroll is written by Sedefkar Asmandi. There are 5 scrolls in total: the head, which we now have, there's the belly, the legs, the right hand, and the left hand. While on the train, Eldridge and Everett are starving, and they head to the dining car to get breakfast. Frank and Dr. Dawkins remain back in their cabins as they're interested to look over the scroll. While ordering food, it turns out that the Duke is there with them. He confronts Eldridge and threatens him to turn over the scroll. The Duke rubs his nose, and this in turn creates a burning sensation in Eldridge's face. Everett leaves the table to get the scroll. The group decides to pull a fast one on the Duke and to give him the fake scroll that Edgar had made. It's a gamble, but it does pay off. The Duke was in such a hurry to get his hands on the scroll that he snatches it from Everett's hand and takes out a string of what looks like braided horse hair. He holds a string to his mouth, and we hear what sounds like, "I'm almost out of range." He then flips this cord up and around himself and proceeds to vanish into thin air. Strangely, no one on the train seems to notice this. Dr. Dawkins realizes that he is still carrying Professor Smythe's journal that he had recovered from the burned house. And that brings us up to date.
All right. So, tonight we are going. You have quite a few hours, probably about 9.5 hours before you get to Milan. So, and it's a little after morning. You've got your food finally, and you're going to eat, but you're going to read from the journal. So, we're all prepared with our new characters for that. We're going to act it out, and you can switch. Now, I want you to understand that your 1920s characters are reading from this thing. So if they want to interrupt and meta, that's perfectly acceptable. Because that's what they would be doing, is they're reading from the journal. All right, so let's see.
An enigma wrapped in a conundrum.
Yeah, it's like Inception. All right, well, let me show you first the journal, since Dr. Dawkins opens it up. And Dr. Dawkins, you may read from it. If you can read it. Can you read it?
Okay, kind of. Okay.
No, we lost Jeff. I mean, we lost Thomas.
Thomas, okay. It is with great trepidation that I set into writing the events that transpired in the late summer of 1893. Little did I realize that the horrors that would be revealed. It all started on that terrible dark night when the police summoned me to that infamous Whitechapel slum. What I saw there harrowed my soul. The police said that no crime had been committed, and all left save for Dr. Hobbs, the police physician. But I knew, based on the testimony of the landlady and the other neighbors, that there was something far more sinister happening here. I could no longer disguise my fear, and I felt it necessary to summon my colleagues to join me. Thanks be to God that street urchins can easily be found wandering past midnight.
Right. So to begin our story, you are all part of a little clique that the professor has kind of formed over the years here in London. You call yourselves the Blue Rose Club for one reason or another, basically referencing the what is the name of it? The 1001 Tales of the Arabian Nights. This particular night, it's rather late, and you were all at a local cafe where you often meet and discuss whatever you discuss. You discuss religion, you discuss strange things that have gone on, rumors that you hear, and while you are there, well, let's see, why don't you guys, you can go ahead and do that and sort of, I guess, introduce your characters to the others, and, well, should we wait for Thomas?
Yeah.
I'm hoping he comes right back. Sorry, folks, for the, we've been having some little technical problems. Jeff, why don't you go ahead and introduce your character?
I'm still looking for my sheet. I don't think I printed it. Start with Wayne.
Wayne, why don't you go ahead and start?
Okay. I am playing Matilda Esposito. She's an aristocrat. She was born in Tuscany, Italy. Her current residence, I would say for the past 7 or 8 years, has been in London, England.
Okay. Do you want to explain how she came to know Professor Smythe?
Well, she has a bit of interest in occult lore, and one day she was wandering the streets of London, and she was in one particular occult shop, and they pointed their her way to Professor Smythe. And she was like, these are trinkets, and how like most of the occult shops there were didn't have real occult knowledge. But one older lady was saying that if you really wanted to learn more about the occult, you should talk to this particular gentleman. And she sought him out, and that's how they became good friends eventually.
Jeff, you want to talk about your character?
So actually, I have a question for Matilda then.
Uh-huh.
I always like to get a clarification when people say occult, because there's so many variations and degrees of it. Is there anything in particular that she's interested in it, or?
Well, she's from the old country in Italy, so you had a lot of like gypsy type of lore and things like that. So when she was a young girl, a troop of gypsies came into her town, and she was kind of fascinated with it. And they told her little stories here and there. So that's what sort of gotten her interested in it.
Okay.
And there he goes, Tom. And yeah, later on, she just started to dive deeper into more of the occult, sort of the pagan side of things.
Okay, cool. When I think Italy, I think the evil eye.
Yeah.
Yes. So my character. Let me give me one more second here.
Tom, we're just discussing our characters before we begin.
Okay. Yeah, no problem with that. Sorry that I kind of dipped out.
It's okay.
Okay. So my character is Marcus Resden. Basically, I'm a seminarian. I'm going to school to Oxford to study to become a priest. I was born in Kensington, England. Professor Smythe taught at Oxford too. Is that right, Tom?
He's teaching this year.
Right. Okay. And I met Smythe when we played tennis together. They recently redid the tennis courts, and we met up on the tennis courts. My character's clean cut, dark hair, is fit. I like to jog every morning. Plays tennis, obviously. I'm also a polyglot. I speak multiple languages. Studying to become an Anglican priest. I'm interested in the occult, but I'm not sure what to make of it. So this is all like study and research for me right now.
Professor Smythe likes to argue with you about why you would settle for one particular system of beliefs when there's so many others out there that you could study and learn from. Tom?
I'm sorry, one more. I'm a little bit, I guess, not necessarily afraid of it, but cautious of the occult. Like I'm aware of the connection between the devil and demons, and trying to lure people off the right path.
Okay. And Tom, your character?
Okay, hi everybody. So I'm going to be playing Captain Leopold Evans. He's a 43-year-old male from York, England. He joined the military pretty early, just to see the world. He's been fascinated with seeing the world, seeing Asia, seeing the Middle East, seeing Africa, even parts of Europe that he'd never explored. It's sort of a feelings of wanderlust. However, in his middle age, he's sort of taken a step back. He's fascinated with archaeology, with history, with anthropology, but he never formally went to school for it. He's just been reading up and up and up on it. Me, Captain Leopold, and Professor Smythe know each other because we're both part of the Oriental Club,
which is a very famous club in London. Men only.
Men only.
Of course.
And so, me and him regularly discuss the Middle East, Asia. He's also specifically fascinated with Buddhist culture. He finds it fascinating while alien to him and his Christian upbringing.
Okay. So as I said, you guys have formed sort of an informal clique. You currently call it the Blue Rose Club, but it's gone through a number of other names in the past because you don't know what to call it. Blue Rose being, as I said earlier, a reference to 1001 Arabian Nights, the so-called Blue Rose that the prince had to, or the thief of Baghdad had to find. So it represents for you kind of a search for truth. Which is what you guys are, what's the whole point. This evening, it is foggy and dark. It's almost near midnight. And you guys have been enjoying the evening, sipping brandy and chatting. The time of year, it's currently, I believe it's August, and it's 1893. And as you're sitting there, there's all of a sudden a knock on the door.
Who is it? Wait, we're in a cafe, right?
Oh yeah, you are in a cafe. You're in a small private room in the cafe that you guys use. So there's a knock on the door.
Yes, so I'll just come on in. It's open.
Okay. The door opens and there is a small street urchin. Looks like a little boy, filthy. And he says, "I have a message for you, Governor." And he hands you a card. And you immediately recognize it as, and then he immediately leaves. You recognize it as the professor's card. And this is the card, and this is what it says. Go ahead.
Dr. Julius A. Smythe, Lit D, PhD, professor at Cambridge University. I am at 5 Durward Street, Whitechapel. For God's sake, come. Bring a gun. Julius Smythe.
Do you read this out loud, Jeff?
Yeah.
Okay. So I smile, removing my revolver from its holster to check and see if there's bullets. There always is. And I smile, and I say, "Adventures abound, boys!"
No.
And woman.
Thank you.
Matilda has proved herself quite capable in the past.
I'm from the old country. Of course. So let's,
So how do you proceed? This is London. It's dark. It's foggy. You got buggies. You don't have cars.
Could we take a carriage?
It's a horse-drawn carriage. Yes, you could probably get one outside.
Awesome, cool.
right, I follow behind these gentlemen.
Now, you're also very aware that Whitechapel is where the infamous Jack the Ripper was not just a couple of years ago. So it's not a nice area of town.
So we keep close, or at least I keep close with my hand in on the pistol in its holster.
Okay.
I will start by saying that she's that Matilda is wearing something sensible, something to travel in, not one of those big gowns that most women of that time period would wear, but something a bit more simple and subtle. So, and I'll say she's wearing something like a black dress.
Okay. If you want, she could be wearing something like riding clothes so that she's got like pants on.
Well,
she might be that kind of sensible person.
Well, here's the thing. Especially for that time period, women weren't allowed to wear pants, were they?
Well, if they're riding a horse. Yeah, it's not quite that long ago. So, But then again, she seems a very independent woman. This is up to you. Sorry.
Okay, well then she's wearing pants.
All right. Any other preparations before you get in that carriage and head off to Whitechapel?
Would I know? You don't have to answer this, but would I know if Matilda is armed or not?
Oh, I'm armed.
You would probably know. You guys know each other very well.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
am not. So.
Oh.
So yeah, as I'm getting on the carriage, I have my hair, wrapped up and nice and pretty, I guess, for this area. I take the bobby pins or whatever out, kind of ruffle up my hair, kind of try to look a little rougher for the area.
Okay. The carriage is there, and you're off. It takes you about 10 minutes to cross London. You're heading into Whitechapel. You cross a bridge, and I mean, you can tell that Whitechapel is a darker, less wholesome area. There are streetwalkers, which you probably just ignore. As you approach 5 Durham Road, you see these are all like one brownstone after the other, so they're all just like you'd see almost in New York. They're just one building attached to the next, attached to the next. You see Professor Smythe standing on the front porch of this building, up a couple steps, and he's talking to someone. Looks like a woman, an older woman, and he's handing her what looks like maybe some cash, and she's going back into the same building. And he sees you, and he waves for you to come over.
All right, so
Does he go inside, or is he waiting on the porch?
He's waiting on the porch.
Okay.
You got the impression that she came out to him and he was talking with her about something.
Okay.
I would like you to do a spot hidden.
Okay. Just me or everyone?
Oh, you can all do one. It's very. I want to emphasize that it is foggy and dark, and it's gaslight.
Okay. What time of night is it?
Past midnight.
Okay. I make it, by the way.
I make it.
Okay.
This blasted fog.
I'll get to that in just 1 second. I'll tell you what that is in a second. Anyways, so you get out of the cab and out of the carriage, and you cross the street to where Professor Smythe is standing, and he says, "Quickly, my friends! I have to warn you that it's rather horrible." So he ushers you inside. Now, as you are going inside, those of you who passed your thing, you think that off in the fog there, outside, we're talking outside, down a little ways, you think you see a man wearing a fez. Fezes are actually quite popular in London, but it makes him very distinctive. You can see that he's a fez. And very quickly, that man turns around and vanishes into the fog. You do get the impression that he was watching.
I feel like we've seen him before.
Okay, so I guess I'll take lead into the house, and
Okay.
I'll pull out my revolver, and I'll say to Smythe, the back of his head, and I'll say, "You said you needed a gun?"
Oh yes, says just in case. And you go up the stairs, you turn a corner, go down a little hallway, and into a door. Now, the first thing that assaults you is the smell, and it's not very nice. It's a rotting sort of smell. Now, a lot of places in Whitechapel already smell, and this is a mixture of that plus what smells pretty bad. Now, this room is lit by a lantern, a couple of lanterns, and you can see that there is a bed, and there is a man lying on the bed, and your first impression is an old man lying on the bed. and there is another man who is leaning over him, looking at him, and you're not sure, but from the look of the guy, you'd say he's probably a doctor. Okay? And Smythe ushers you in, and he closes the door. And he says, let's see. He says, my friends, he says, something very, very strange is going on here. He says, this man here on the bed. And the man on the bed is wearing a fez on his head. Okay. He says, and he's disheveled. He looks like he hasn't eaten in days, and he's all wrinkly. He says something very strange is going on here. I was contacted by the police just an hour ago because this man here yelled out my name. And he says, I think that his name is Matthew Pook. And Matthew Pook is a 23-year-old student. Somebody I was trying to protect. According to the landlady, 3 days ago, a man in a top hat and tails with a cane rented this room, and the next day they brought in this man and said that he was recovering from a drug overdose. And over the course of the last couple of days, he's gotten louder in his screams and his noise making. And finally, the landlady called the police, and these people who were doing this to him fled. And we don't know what's going on here, but this man here is 23 years old, and he looks like he's 80 years old at the moment. You have questions? There's more, but I'll let you.
While he's talking, I'll do a bit of looking around in the room, just to see if there's any of these men fled, especially if they were in a hurry. They might have dropped something.
Let's see.
And you said the man speaking was a doctor?
Yes. And he says this is Dr. Hobbs, the police physician. And he seems perplexed and he says you'll notice that it looks almost like the hat has been fused onto his head.
Okay. So I say, by God, Smythe, and I shove my pistol into the holster, and I look him in the face, and I say, you bring a gun to a war zone, not to a sick boy's bed.
I'm afraid those people will come back. And I think that they're up to something terrible here.
I will mention about the man that I spotted on the way in. So
you saw somebody outside?
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Off in the distance.
Says, well, the police were here, but they decided to leave because they said no crime has been committed. I'm not so sure that that's the case here. Oh, what I need us to do is I need us to get this poor boy out of here. We got to get him someplace safe.
So does he actually appear to be an old man, or is it just you just mean he's like rough around the edges, like just haggard looking, or?
If you're looking closely at him, he looks like he has been somehow aged.
Okay.
There are noticeable marks on him that make him look. Now, at the same time, he's making noise and writhing. Oh, he seems incoherent. And yeah, but he's the professor is sure that this is Matthew Pook. And he says, I think that it has to do with this fez. I've gotten some recent correspondence with a colleague of mine from Constantinople who was afraid that something like this might be heading our way.
I asked the doctor, does he have a fever?
The doctor says, I'm not going to touch him again.
Why not?
Smythe says, apparently touching the hat makes you incredibly sick. So he didn't want, he accidentally touched the hat and had a bad reaction to it.
I see.
Now the hat itself, when you look at it, it looks like a fez, except that it's got what looks like some dark writing all the way around it, and maybe even almost like hieroglyphics. Not so much language. Do any of you look at it closely?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Roll for me a spot hidden. No, roll for me a listen roll.
Oh, come on, Tom.
Nope.
Fail.
Oh, I missed it by 7 points.
Okay. Well, even though you missed it by 7 points, that's close enough. You think you can hear something whispering, and it sounds like it's whispering inside the hat.
What?
You
Tom,
don't find anything of interest in the room.
Okay.
Would I be the type of priest or seminary student that would cross myself? Or is that...
I don't know if Anglicans do that or not. That's a good question.
I'm going to do it anyway,
Okay.
just to cover the bases.
All right. Probably definitely say a little prayer.
Yes.
So the man is writhing on the bed and making noise, and the doctor is trying to, trying to figure out if there's any way to get the hat off.
Does he say that out loud?
Yeah, he says, I don't know how we're going to get this hat off, but I think that it's essential to get this hat off of him.
CoC's pistol.
I look around the room to see if there's like maybe like a broomstick or something like that we could try to knock the head off with.
I have my saber. I'm not kidding. Like, do you want to use the saber? Just kind of like nudge it off?
You could try.
Just for awesomeness alone.
Sure, why not? So I take the saber and I go to the right side of the bed where there's the doctor's across from me. I take the saber and I sort of just like prod at it to try and tip it off the head.
It actually seems like it's attached. It's almost like it's growing into the skin on his head.
So it's not coming off, even with me poking at it, it's not coming off.
No.
So wide-eyed with fear, because nope, I look to the other two.
I'm just laughing at the image of the poor sick kid on the bed. Here, let me help, and the guy just draws a sword.
I will look for maybe like a blanket or something like that, or a sheet.
That's what I was thinking.
And fold it up and then walk over and try to pull the hat off without physically touching, in my hands touching it.
Okay, do me a dexterity roll.
And he's conscious through all this, right?
Who?
Nope.
The Pook.
No, he's making noises and rolling, and his eyes are rolling, and he seems to be completely delirious.
Does he react when he tried to take the hat off with the saber?
Not at all.
Oh, okay.
And no, I didn't make my dex roll.
Which means that you accidentally touched the hat with the tip of your little finger.
Okay.
The hat does not come off, but for just a moment, you feel waves of nausea roll through you, and I'll have you do a Constitution roll to see if you throw up. but you also get flashes in your mind of things you don't understand. I can't even describe what you see, and you can't either to anyone else, but they're horrifying. So I'm going to have you do a little bit of a sanity. I'm going to have you do a sanity roll.
Okay,
And you reel back.
I reel back and I vomit on the side of the bed.
Okay.
Couldn't get the bucket.
And I make my sanity roll.
Okay.
All right.
So one point of damage.
Okay. So all I really lost was my dinner. So.
Okay. So what the professor is proposing is that you somehow get him out of here because he's afraid that these other people will come back.
So. All right. Well, gentlemen, you're the ones with the body strength. Let's try to lift him out of here.
But before you can do that, Matthew Pook's body begins to shake violently, and he calls out, he screams out. He doesn't say anything, but he yells out, and you can hear him gasping for breath, and then he just suddenly goes limp, and he stops breathing.
Sort of afraid, trying to keep my composure, but afraid. I look at the doctor and I say, "What's wrong with him?"
Well, the doctor immediately reaches down to feel his carotid artery, and he leans forward to see if he can hear, if he can feel the breath or anything like that. As he does that, very strange happens. It's almost as if the shadows in the room have suddenly leaped up, and what you realize is that the lanterns are going out, and very quickly the lanterns go completely black, and the room you're thrown completely into darkness. As that happens, you hear a noise that sounds like a gurgle and a growl, and then suddenly violent screaming, and coming from where the doctor and the body are, and thrashing about on the bed. What do you do?
Bravery. Is it black as pitch? Can I not see?
Correct.
All right. Let's do it to it. I'm going to, because my assumption is I'm still near the right side of the bed. I'm going to grab, or attempt to grab, the doctor and yank him away.
Okay. You grab a hold of the doctor, but you can tell that something else has the doctor also. What do the other two do? What do you guys do? Now, I think it's very likely that you all have lighters. You probably all smoke.
I don't.
Okay.
Didn't think about it.
Because half the priests I know smoked back then.
Okay.
So did the doctors.
I figure with my daily running and my tennis, I wouldn't do it.
I didn't know there were lighters back then. So if they were, I'll have a lighter and I'll try to flick the lighter, see if it lights.
Okay. I'll assume you probably grabbed the lantern that was nearest you and try to light it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, as you light the lantern, and the light suddenly comes up in the room, this is what you see. And
Oh, it's gonna be horrible. Oh, damn, son.
And this thing has ripped the front of the face of the doctor off, who's shaking and calling out. The creature is kind of blue-black. It obviously was Matthew Pook. Its face has been stretched because the top of his head has sort of elongated into the shape of the hat that he was wearing. And you see that the hat that he was wearing is now just lying on the bed a few feet away. What do you guys do?
I roll.
Could I make a?
Yes, you need to
I'm
do
right
a
next to
sanity
this
roll
thing.
for this one.
And I missed that one. Jeez.
All right, I'm gonna roll. Okay, I passed.
Okay. If you pass, you're going to do 2 damage. If you
Oh.
didn't pass, you're going to do 1 to 4 damage.
All
What
right.
if I rolled a 00?
Oh no! You rolled a 00.
I did.
You're going to have to do at least a 1 to 6.
Ooh. I think I just pooped my pants.
It's going to be worse than that if you get over 5.
I actually only got a 1, so but that doesn't seem right.
Okay. Well, you tripped. You sort of tripped and fell backwards
Okay.
as you lost it. I'll give you nightmares later. So what are you guys going to do? And this thing is very actively. It's not just sitting there quietly staring at you like the picture did.
Mauling the doctor.
I'm going to
Right.
pull out my gun, and I'm going to fire at it.
All right, you guys are very close, so
Yeah.
you're almost point blank. I'll what's your chance to hit?
This is a handgun, so it's about 40% chance.
I'm gonna almost double that. So you got the really good chance of hitting because you're really close.
Or I could be like Jeff and roll 00s and hit somebody else.
Please don't. I'm on top.
If you roll 00, your gun jams. That's what.
No, I miss by 6.
Oh, okay. So you fire, but you don't hit it.
Tom.
Yes.
Despite the tongue hand,
Mm-hmm.
can I do a strength check to pull the doctor away?
Yeah, you can try.
Okay. Hi, Father, give me strength. Nope.
Okay, so you can't. He's held too tightly. So the creature isn't interested at the moment in you, but its long barbed tongue has wrapped itself around the doctor's neck, and he's trying to pull the doctor's trying to resist, and he's trying to pull the doctor's face back into his mouth. So you guys can have another attack.
All right.
Although what are you firing with, a Derringer?
Yeah, Derringer.
There's only 1 bullet.
Yes, there is. Well, I'll spin this round trying to reload.
Okay.
And who's next, dex wise? Me or Jeff?
Either one of you, it doesn't matter.
You want to go, Jeff, or should I?
Well, I'm actually just going to be scrambling on the floor, and I'm going to pull out my necklace and hold it up and just yell out and say, "Be gone, you foul beast!"
Yeah, so my character screams, I don't think that's gonna work. And now, combat-wise, I don't know. Is this like D&D where it's a full turn to remove a weapon unless you use sleight of hand?
I've never even heard that before. So, it's far less than that. Just if you're going to shoot your gun, shoot your gun.
Cool. All right. So I have an 85 in handgun. So,
Okay.
And we're at point blank.
Wow.
So, yeah, I was assuming it's my highest stat. I was assuming that because I'm a military officer, I would be the guy shooty boom boom. So let me pull up the damage real quick. This is probably gonna end real bad for me because it's gonna come right at me, but whatever. Army revolver. So 1d10, 4 plus 4, 8.
You tell me where you were aiming to. Were you aiming for its body or its head or?
I'm gonna say the torso.
Okay.
And I did 12 damage.
Okay. You do that, and the thing falls back on the bed, and
Releasing him.
yeah, its tongue thing sort of unwraps from the professor. I mean, from the doctor, and the doctor collapses onto the floor. And you see the thing looks like it's pulling back and getting ready to spring forward at you.
Okay.
And it's definitely wounded. It's bleeding, although the blood is kind of bluish black.
You know what? I'm just gonna fire again. I'm gonna do another shot. Boom.
All right, well, let's let the other two go. So,
Yeah. Let the other two go.
Matilda,
Alright. Okay. And I make that one.
okay, you can roll for damage.
Wow. Okay. Only 1 point of damage. Jeez.
Okay, it's a little itty bitty bullet. So,
Yeah, well, yeah. Plus, I think when I fired, I tried to fire for its head and probably just grazed the side of it.
okay, and Marcus.
I'm going to look around on the floor. Is there anything I can use as a weapon? Like an umbrella or a chair leg or...
Not that's readily apparent, no.
Okay.
Let's say that you do notice on top of a dresser there is a candlestick made out of brass.
Okay. I'll make my way towards that to grab it.
All right. And Captain Leo?
I'm here to save the day. Alrighty. So I'm just gonna shoot at it again. If nothing else, I can keep it down.
Where are you aiming for?
If I were to say the head,
Mm-hmm.
my stuff is so high. Would that just automatically hit or no?
Well, I just want to know for that there's a dramatic moment shooting at it in the head.
Sure. Yeah. So I point, click back, pull back the hammer, and fire straight for the head. I do. Oh, come on. D10. That's 1, 5, 7 damage to the head.
Okay, that's enough. You hit it in the head, and it falls back on the bed, and it stops moving. And when you do, when that happens, it almost seems as if a dark cloud has left the room, as if there was a kind of a cloak of shadow that just suddenly fades away, and the lantern seems to be brighter, and what you're left with is the doctor gurgling on the floor, and Smythe tripped and fell to the ground, so he's scrambling over to the doctor to try to pull him out of the room, and the hat's lying on the bed, and Smythe points at the hat and says, "Destroy it! Destroy it!"
I grab the lantern, and I guess this place is going to go up in smoke.
Oh, wait.
There's people living here.
Oh.
Don't do that! For the love of God!
There was writing on the hat, too. I wanted to read it.
I'm going to,
Actually, can't we get maybe a small wooden box and place it in here and just bring it with us to study later on? Wouldn't that be a little bit better? Figure out what we're really up against.
Do you say this out loud?
Yeah, well, she says that with her, her voice. She's like, shouldn't we do that and just bring it with us just so that we can study it?
Well,
And with blood all over me, I turn to you and I say, "Are you mad, woman? Are you mad?"
Smythe says, "Maybe that's not a bad idea, but wrap it up in something. Don't touch it."
Thank you, Professor Smythe. She stares daggers at you. And it would be actually better if we had a wooden box. That way, we can kind of just tilt it into the box without touching it.
Well, there's no wooden boxes.
Maybe,
I mean, you can't find one in the street outside, maybe some refuse out there.
Well, you can go look for something, but yeah, you got bed sheets and
Okay, well, we can
cases and
we can just wrap it up then.
actually, I'm still
Very
going to take
carefully. Very carefully.
I'm going to take my candlestick and smash the thing in the head again.
Okay, and
Just making sure.
splashes all over you.
I point at Marcus and I say, "Wise man."
Yeah. Is there a bathroom? Maybe I could grab a towel out of the bathroom.
There's a bathroom down the. Smythe says, "I think there's a bathroom down the hall. I don't know." He says, "I'll tell you what." He says, "This is what we need to do." He says, "We've already fired a gun a couple times. No doubt the police are back on their way." He says, "One of you wrap this thing up, and you three get out of here. Take it with you. Back to." He says, take it back to my study at Oxford, and I'll deal with the police when they get here. And we need to get when the police get here, I'll tell them what happened, or we have something. I don't know what.
Well, the evidence is here, so that they can't really refute what you're going to tell them.
And he says, is it? And he points over at Matthew Pook, and now this thing is sort of melted, and Pook is there, but it obviously looks like he died of some horrible wasting disease. He doesn't look quite like the monster that he did a few moments ago.
And I say, "Shit."
And he says, "Well, what would we tell the police anyway? They don't need to know about the monsters exist like this." So he says, "But I will meet you there probably in an hour, and then we'll formulate a plan of what to do."
What about the doctor? Will he be okay?
He says, I don't think there's anything that we can do for the doctor. And you can see that the doctor's not breathing anymore.
Yeah.
God damn it, Smythe. That's out of character.
He says, actually, you suddenly notice that Smythe looks really distraught. He says, "Gentlemen, I had no idea that I was going to bring you into this horrible mess. I didn't even know it was a horrible mess until just a moment ago." He says, but you get out of here so that you don't have any complications, and I'll take care of it.
Matilda asks if he's armed.
He says, "No, I'm not armed."
Captain, would you mind lending him your weapon?
No, it's better if I don't have a weapon. Because I can tell the police that those men came back and did this.
Okay.
Smart man.
Yeah, but just be careful.
Of course. Anyways, he sort of helps you sort of wrap this thing up in the sheet. And,
Smythe, did they tell you how many men?
They didn't say for sure, 3 or 4, okay. Plus the guy in the top hat and the Englishman.
Okay.
They did say the other ones wore fezzes.
Turks.
All right, so what do you guys do?
Rush to Oxford.
All right.
Like this noise.
And you guys have been to his office many times. In fact, he gives you the key. So you guys get outside, and very quickly you manage to hail a cab. I keep saying a cab. Actually, they probably were called cabbies back then. A carriage, and it takes you to Oxford. And
I'll carry it if anyone has objections.
You get up to his office, and what would you guys like to do?
So we're in his office now, or we're walking to the office?
I'll say you've gotten to his office. You've unlocked the door and gone in.
Okay. So, I essentially wait for Marcus to put down the creature, and then I look at the two. My character's old school. I'm sorry, Wayne. But I look at Marcus and I say, "So what are we gonna do?"
You said creature. We have the hat, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we have this hat.
Let's clear a spot on the table. I'll put it up on the table.
To burn.
Get ready to burn it, but I think that might be too hasty right now. I mean, there was writing. I saw writing on this that might be a clue as to how to figure this thing out.
Hello, Fez. Okay, so I just step back, hand on my my pistol's butt, and I just wait, because I don't feel good about this at all, you guys. Like none.
Well, since I'm being ignored by the men, um, I go to his desk and I pull out like a journal or a notebook or something, and ink and quill, and I just start writing the words of the hieroglyphics of the words that are on the bottom of the hat, just to pin them down. And then I'll just start making notes, how I found it, what I found, it being on the hat, and then describing the creature. So I'm just really just documenting.
Well, here's the odd thing. When you look closely at the hat to see the hieroglyphics, you see that they're constantly changing. They're moving around the hat, creeping slowly. They're
Gentlemen,
twisting and moving.
So I call both of them and I say, take a look at this. And I point this out.
You also notice quite distinctly that you can hear nothing. You no longer hear any whispering from the hat.
It's not moving or anything, right?
No, the hat's just sitting there. But it looks like under the fabric, it almost looks like the hieroglyphics are somehow under the fabric and they're moving independently of the fabric.
Is there like a certain pattern to it, or is it just...
If you were... Go ahead and do you have history? Go ahead and do a history roll. Who's the polyglot? That's the priest?
Yeah, I have pretty good history too.
And I credit on that. Nice.
Ooh, nice.
And Marcus, why don't you also do an idea roll?
Idea. Ooh, 60. 14.
Okay. Both of you say this at the same time. You say, they look like hieroglyphics. And you think they look like Egyptian hieroglyphics, but there's definitely some things in there that don't look like Egyptian hieroglyphics. Twisty little things and odd-shaped things. I mean, you do think you see a fish. Maybe that's an eye. Maybe that's like a little sphinx or something like that. But by the time you sort of look at it and try to isolate it, it's moved and it's changed.
Hey, Tom.
Yes.
Could I possibly do an archaeology check to see if I've recognized the markings and what culture they may be a part of?
Yes.
Okay. And I made it.
You feel the same way. You feel like it hovers right on the edge of what you think you've seen, like the Rosetta Stone or something, and yet there's enough of it that it's wrong or different or somehow different. So you can't really identify the language. Maybe Egyptian.
Maybe Egyptian.
Maybe
but
some
certainly
sort
not
of
Arabic.
form of... Yeah, it's definitely not a modern language.
Could it be Babylonian?
Babylonians use cuneiform. No, it's not cuneiform.
Okay.
So
Pretty
no,
sure.
it's the closest thing you think. Closest thing you think to it is Egyptian.
Okay.
Little pictograms all over it.
Is it the type of thing where there are certain hieroglyphs that we know are Egyptian and then others that we don't recognize? Or you're saying the entire language is just a little bit off?
I'm saying that when you're, hieroglyphics are little pictures.
Right.
Like I say, you might see what you think is a fish, or you might think you see like the eye of Horus or something like that. But when you focus in on it, it starts to change, and you're not sure that that's what it was.
Okay.
So it defies you to define it.
Okay.
Which leads me to what I was planning on doing last night, and which we discussed while you were having your technical issues. So, what is not what is the layout of the office, but what is the layout of the building that we're in? Is outside a hallway? Is it the campus? What is it? What is the layout of the building?
Outside is a hallway. You're on the second floor. Imagine, if you will, I mean, a rather old building, a very old and elegant building. It's at the university, and this is this is professor's study. So there's books all over the walls, and there's a desk, and there's some comfortable furniture, and a little place where you can take tea, and it's quite luxurious.
On walking the campus, did we see anyone around? Is the campus essentially dead? Is there a few professors and students? Is the building that we're in currently, is all the lights out? Is it dark outside? Like what's going on?
It's probably approaching 1 o'clock in the morning. You didn't see anybody walking around outside. Maybe you did. Maybe there were a couple of students coming home after a night of drinking or whatever. This particular building is it may be occupied in places by other professors who are doing late night work, but for the most part, it's dead.
Okay.
You weren't stopped or asked questions on the way in.
Okay. Because I personally, as Leopold, have a very bad feeling about what I saw in the street, the fez-wearing man, and how these people could possibly come back. I turn to the other two, and I say, Matilda, Marcus, I am going to walk the floor.
Okay. It's probably a good idea.
Seeing as how you two clearly aren't as perturbed as I am, despite everything that we've seen tonight, I also want to make sure that we weren't followed. So I'll walk the first and the second floor, and hopefully, by the time you find something, I will be back.
Okay. Be careful.
Tom, would I have my what is it? My 12 gauge? My 12 gauge with me? Probably
Yes.
not. Yes. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out the army revolver. I'm going to spin it, and I'm going to point the hilt of the gun, to Marcus. Does the monk feel comfortable enough to take the gun from my hand?
I appreciate the offer, but I'm going to decline. But I do see the importance of having a weapon, so I think at the first opportunity, I'm going to go out and get a blackjack.
Okay.
It's not a gun, but at least it's something.
Yeah. I'd offer you my saber, but it'd be kind of weird having you hold the saber. Look at that.
Oh, that would just be cool. Yeah.
Just look at that. So I say jolly good. I open the door, and with that, I walk into the possibly almost pitch black, minus the moonlight, hallway.
Oh, there's
gas lights and stuff like that, like lamps.
There is gaslight, yeah.
Okay, so I'm not completely in the dark. Awesome, cool. That'll make it easier.
Maybe stick to just the second floor, so we could at least hear you if you have to yell out.
I chuckle, and I say, if something goes wrong, you'll hear.
Okay.
And I click the hammer back of my pistol, and I walk out.
Right, got you.
Okay, so I leave. I separate the party, because I'm a jackass.
So then I turn to Marcus and I ask, so tell me, what do you have against guns?
Just, they're too final for me. It's a final solution, and I'm not sure if I'm ready to commit to that.
Well, you better be ready, especially with men like these who are willing to kill. They won't hesitate to kill you. You have to protect yourself.
Yeah.
And a simple blackjack may not do it. Especially if we come across another one of those things.
Yeah.
And you see her sort of visibly shiver at the thought of, the monster that we just came across.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm still. I hear what you're saying, but I'm not ready to commit. I don't think. Now, if things get worse, or if I think we're in much more danger than we are, then I will definitely consider it.
Have you ever held a gun or shot a gun before?
No.
Well, maybe that's best that you don't have one. They can be a bit tricky.
Yeah, I have.
You could end up hurting yourself or someone else.
Right.
Very well. And I'll say that for the time being, while the captain is out patrolling and we're waiting for Smythe, I'll continue to write my notes, everything that I experienced, and I'll even try to sketch, even though I'm not much of an artist, but sketch what the monster looked like.
Okay.
So basically, this is all going to go into his journal later on, and sort of, I guess, meta, as Dr. Dawkins is like flipping through the pages and reading the book, he happens to come across her sketch, which seems to be like ripped out of another notebook, and it's inside the journal, and some of the notes are scrawled in there.
Okay, that makes sense.
Cool. Also, I definitely would like to check out the inside of the hat.
Okay, so what do you do?
So carefully.
Do not touch it.
Right. What would I use? We're not in a lab, but we're in like a
There's lots
study.
of your letter openers.
Letter opener. Yeah. So I'll carefully just try to tip it over and make sure it doesn't roll. And
Okay. Well, it looks just like that. Nothing.
okay. Because you had said earlier it was like fused to the guy's head, so I was curious. Is there?
There's no label, but it looks just like a hat.
Okay.
It's black on the inside and red on the outside. But that's all you can observe,
I wonder too. So, Matilda, you touched the hat, right? Accidentally.
Yeah, and you see her shiver again, and she says, "Yeah, when I touched the hat, I got flashes, like visions of I don't even know how to describe it, but it was it caused me to vomit. I'll say that much."
I'm wondering if, because at that point in time, it was attached to Pook's head, and I wonder now if the same effect would happen.
Well, you can try touching it yourself.
I think I will. I'll go over and get a waste paper basket first.
Okay.
And then I'll just quickly, like I'm touching an electric fence, just quickly like.
Okay. When your finger brushes up against the hat, you sort of feel a wave of nausea, but it's nowhere near as violent as it was for Matilda. And you don't seem to have any flashes or anything like that in your mind.
Okay.
You just sort of feel queasy for a second. You're not even sure if that was just force of suggestion.
Mm.
Well, I see that you're not really shaken. You kind of grimace a little bit, I guess, but
Yeah, it wasn't as bad as what I expected.
Do you sort of, when that's your reaction, do you sort of experiment a little more and see if you can actually touch it and hold and keep your finger on it?
Yeah.
That's still true. It sort of makes you feel a little queasy, but you're not having a real strong reaction to it. You're also not hearing anything like you guys did when it was on his head.
Yeah, I think Marcus would want. He's trying to experience something supernatural.
Okay. Well, I see that it's not really bothering you, and so I'll actually go and experiment with it myself and see if I have the same exact feeling.
Okay. Same as for Marcus. Nothing
Okay.
or very little.
So I basically, so I'll write this down in the journal as well, saying that it seems to have that strong reaction when it's on top of the head of someone, and I guess changing them. Um, and perhaps it was stronger because the hat must have been on on the poor child who had it on there. It probably was on there for a while and actually got a lot stronger, I guess, feeding off the life force of that individual. This is just something that she's just, you
Well,
know.
if you I'll remind you, if you go by the timetable described by um, I guess the landlady to the professor, it was 3 days since whoever it was in the top hat with the cane brought Pook there.
Okay.
Yeah, there might be other factors here too. Like there was a suggestion, I think, that he might have been drugged.
Maybe.
Well, did we see any sort of, well, it depends on what type of drug too.
Well, I want to remind you of something else. When you were in the room, um, Matilda, you looked around to see if you could see anything. But I meant to say this last night was the room is dark. I mean, this is 1893. It was lit by a single or two lanterns. Um, you could have missed a lot, you
Okay.
know, and especially once it started happening, it was dark.
Okay. Hmm.
So maybe after things calm down, we might want to go back and look again.
Yeah. I wish the doctor were still alive. Well, you know what? Maybe we can go back and talk to the landlady. And see if she stopped up and checked on the kid or the child, I should say,
Mm-hmm.
um, and see if he had any strange reactions towards the son. So let's say he was there for 3 days. If they opened up a curtain and let the sun come in, see if he was reacting badly to that or something.
Yeah, and a lot of landladies are nosy too, so they might know things.
Okay.
All right, so you guys are in here. Is there anything else you want to try to do?
Um.
We'll skip ahead a little,
Yeah, we can
otherwise.
skip. I guess we can skip ahead. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Uh, Captain, you're downstairs. Um, you're walking up and down the hallways. You don't see anything. You do notice as you get towards like the end of one hallway, there does seem to be light coming through another professor's door. You don't hear anything inside. Um, he might be, it could be anything, reading, writing, sleeping. Um, it doesn't seem out of the ordinary for a college, a university.
Okay.
Um,
Um,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, is there any windows?
Yeah, there's windows all over the place.
Could I look out just to see if there's like anyone standing there ominously, like in the on the street?
Go ahead and do a spot hidden for me.
Let's do a spot hidden. Hi, Father, give me strength. 50. Awesome. All right, I passed.
Um, you don't. You're not 100% sure, but you don't think you see anybody. You do see a couple of students walking, and there could have been somebody who went around a corner, but you didn't see like a fez. That would have been what would have made you jump.
Yeah, something
Um,
that stands out because it's red on someone's head.
right. And you've been walking around and looking out windows, and you've gotten to the door that leads into the building, and you've walked out a little bit and into the warm summer air. Oh, I should also mention it's Sunday, um, or rather, it was Sunday when you were called. Now it's Monday, because it's early in the morning. And you see somebody walking towards you across the campus rather quickly. And as soon as they get close enough to maybe one of the gas lights, you realize it's Professor Smythe, and he's heading towards you.
Okay. So I walk back to the door and I just push it open, allowing him so that when he rushes in, he can go in first and I can just close it behind me.
Okay. You also notice he's occasionally looking, to make sure he's not being followed.
I say to him as he's looking over his shoulder, I've already scoped out the building. We're safe. We're fine. They're upstairs.
He says, excellent. Let's go. Let's go upstairs.
Okay. I close the door behind us and I walk with him.
Did you say it was summertime?
Yes, it's the beginning of August.
August.
So it's late summer. Okay, so you get back upstairs, and he comes in, and he says, have you been able to figure out anything about it?
I show him the notes that I have, and I let him know that we experimented with it, not fully, but we touched it, and we didn't get the same feeling that we did when we were at the apartment.
He's like, this is incredibly distressing. He says, I have to tell you this, that I know a little bit about it, but I'm not at the moment prepared to discuss it with you. I'll discuss it with you in the morning. We need to see if we can destroy this thing.
Well, I've got my notes and everything that I needed, and if you want to give it a quick look over, that's fine. But yeah, we can destroy it now. I just wanted to study it for a bit, and now we have a bit of lore on it.
Righto, and I pull out the shotgun and I cock it.
Yeah, don't shoot your gun inside my office. Why don't we try, I don't know, should we try burning it? Light a fire in the fireplace?
Or in the waste bin.
No, we got a fireplace right over here.
Oh, I didn't know you had a fireplace in your study. Look how fancy you are.
It's Oxford University. I should have had pictures of what the study might look like.
Can you tell us, Professor, why you feel the need to destroy it? Is it that dangerous? Is there something you're trying to prevent?
Look what it did to Pook. It says it's obviously a thing of evil.
Do we know that came from the hat, though?
Well, I don't. Would you take a chance? It's just a hat.
Yeah, but it seems special.
Are you turning to the dark side, Matilda? Don't. I can use the hat. No, it's not the ring of power. Perhaps I may have already wrote that story. I don't know.
It matches my red shirt.
Perhaps it's like it's a vessel for spiritual possession, much like the corpse needs to be dead for a spirit to enter a body, like the Jiangxi or the Chinese vampires. A body needs to be dead, and it's a vessel for a spirit.
Pook seemed to be alive before it took him completely, and in the very end, when he died, that's when it took over. I think that we don't have to worry about it now. I think we destroyed the creature.
Well, what I need to do is I need to get a hold of Professor Demir in Constantinople. I was already aware of some of what was going on. Here, just let me show you. And he goes over and he rummages through something on his desk, and this is from a few days ago, last week. Let me make sure I'm showing you the right one. And he says, I need to write him immediately. Captain, why don't you read that? And he hands it to you.
Have been keeping tabs on cult activity. Stop a man named Minkpa. That's how it is.
Stop is like a period.
I know. No. I'm saying
Mincaf.
Minpa. Nimcap? What? Huh?
Mincaf.
Minkoff? I'll call him Nimkoff. Has come into possession of a terrible item known as the Blood Red Fez. Stop. He is traveling to England on some mysterious purpose. Stop. One of my students based in London has volunteered to follow him and report. Stop. Demir. End. Which means, and I look at Smythe, and I say, was Pook this student?
Yes, I believe so, but I need to confirm that with Professor Demir. And here's another.
Does he hand it to me?
Yeah. Well, you're the closest one, so.
My student Pook has elected to try and steal the Fez. Stop. I have warned him. Minkoff is dangerous, but he will not listen. Stop. I fear for his sanity. Stop. He has your address in London. Stop. Please aid him if you can. Stop. Demir.
I fear for his safety. You said sanity.
Sanity, safety, they're all the same thing. It's Call of Cthulhu.
So he says, you see, I must contact Professor Demir. He knows far more about this than I do.
Why was Pook wearing the fez? Why would he put it on if he knew it was dangerous?
I have
What
no
I think
idea.
happened, might have happened, is that he was captured while tailing or following this mysterious man, and I think it was a punishment for butting his nose where it didn't belong.
That seems very likely. He says, as it is, I'm going to have to go over to where Pook was staying and see if I can figure out who his relatives are so I can inform them that he's dead.
Did you were waiting for the police. Did that go okay?
Yes. I'm on good terms with the police, so they knew that the situation was rather dangerous to begin with, and I told them that these men who I described before had come back, and there was a fight, and they believed me. Credit rating.
And they didn't know this group or offer any tips or advice either, right?
No, not that I know. No, they didn't
Okay.
have any leads. So,
Do you know anything about this cult?
I have no idea.
Okay.
There are a lot of cults out there, and I don't know who it's related to. But I'll tell you what. It seems to me like rather than before we try to destroy this thing, let me get a hold of Professor Demir and see what he says. Maybe he has some idea of how to do it. Until then, why don't you meet me tomorrow at our usual spot, say 9 o'clock in the morning. Actually, that's today.
Mm-hmm.
And I will see what I can do. He says we're going to have to figure out if we can put this in something. I think I've got an old hat box. Actually, he goes over to a closet and he opens it up and he rummages around for a minute. And he goes, here it is. And he pulls out an old. It's pink and chocolate-colored striped hat box, which looks like it would be for a woman's hat. It's like, this is for my college days.
Professor.
But I think it will fit in there just perfectly. And he dumps out some stuff that was in it. He says, "I think maybe I should take this back to my flat at St. John's."
And I know it's getting late, but Professor Demir, anything you can tell us about him?
Oh, well, he's an old colleague of mine. He's an expert on. Where are you?
Fezzes.
Well, as I said, fezzes are very popular nowadays. Excuse me. I did have a little thing about Sorry.
Are they popular just because it's like a fashion thing? Is
It's
that
a fashion thing, yeah. They've become very popular in England.
They were considered exotic.
Yeah. He says, well, Professor Demir is trained as an anthropologist. He's an expert in Turkish and Greek archaeology. He himself is Turkish. He's got a strong interest in magical beliefs and their origins. He's written extensively on the subject about cults and outre religions. He's well respected in his field, and he is a Muslim and is married with 2 sons and a daughter. And he's in his mid-50s. He's also a member of the Oriental Club, in very good standing, and he's gotten me out of a few scrapes in the past. He's an ally of the Ottoman court, and he is actually quite opposed to the current state of them trying to get rid of the Ottoman Empire. So he's a loyal Ottoman.
what was that word you said? Outre?
Outre. One
What's
of my
that?
favorite words. Weird.
Oh,
It's an old-fashioned word.
cool.
Lovecraft uses it occasionally. Outre.
All right.
Well,
So, but he's beyond reproach. He's a champion of goodness and righteousness.
Tomorrow when we meet, should we come armed like we are now?
I think so. And keep your eyes open for our little fez-wearing friends.
Well, that will be nearly impossible with everybody walking around with fezzes.
Well, everybody doesn't, but you're looking for
Well,
specifically Arabs walking around in a
oh yeah.
blanket.
and are
Except for
you
this,
sure, Professor, that they're Arabs, not Turks?
they're
like your
they're
friend?
Turks.
Oh.
I honestly don't know, but I think that the fez is an Ottoman thing, a Turkish thing. He says, "Oh, I know exactly where I was last night. Do a history roll. All of you can do a history roll." So
Nope.
you recall.
I got a 30. What is my history? 45.
All right. Well, those of you who made it, you recall sort of the history of the fez itself, and the reason this is originally the headgear for a member of the military. It's a military thing, and the legend is, of course, that they were originally white, and that they dipped them in the blood of their enemies, and that's why they're red.
Sounds like the fairy tale of the red caps, which was a fairy who would dip his hat into a pool of blood.
It's probably
his-
where the story came from.
Cheery.
Yeah. So, yeah, I would suggest you all. There's nothing open nowadays, but I mean not right now. But I guess I'll see you in the morning.
All right.
We'll see you in the morning, Professor.
All right.
Captain, would you be willing to escort Matilda?
Um, I look at Matilda, and I then look at you, Marcus, and I say, I think she can handle herself. Because she shot a goddamn monster in the face.
Whereas I just crawl on the floor.
Do you need a company, sir?
I don't think I would live. Would I live on campus?
Probably not this campus. The English system, there's campuses all over the place, and you're probably at the seminary. I don't know if you do or not. You can decide that, whether you
Yeah,
have your own place.
I'll say
Well-
a small, shabby apartment off campus.
Okay.
Why don't we do this instead? Why don't we hail a coach, and I'll get dropped off, and then you guys can get dropped off, and then that will be the end of the evening. You can all share a coach.
Splendid idea, as I twirl my mustache.
Okay. And that's what you do, and you all end up back in your snug little beds. And the next morning comes, and you're heading towards the place where you guys meet. And when you get there, the professor's already there, and he's got his little hat box. And he's like, have a seat, order some coffee. He says, we need to plan some things. He says, after you guys left last night, I tried to destroy the Fez. He says, unfortunately, it didn't work. I tried burning it. It had no reaction at all. I tried cutting it, and the cut healed itself almost instantly when I cut it. So I'm quite at a loss as to how to destroy it. The first thing I did this morning was I sent a telegram to Professor Demir, and he has sent one back to me. I just got it a few minutes ago, and this is what it says. And he hands it to Matilda.
Monday, August 7th, 1893. Professor J. A. Smythe. Fez is very dangerous. Stop. Impossible to destroy. Stop. On no account wear it. Stop. Have trusted allies. Bring it by all speed to Constantinople. Stop. Will use what knowledge I have to destroy it. Stop. Warn them in no uncertain terms their lives may be at peril. Stop. I will meet them at Shirkirik or
Sirkechi, I think.
Catchy.
Sakechi Station. Stop. Demir. End.
And so the adventure continues, boys.
Well, we
The
can.
professor says, all right, now, here's the thing. The fastest way that you can get to Constantinople is aboard the Orient Express. He says, unfortunately, the Orient Express is very expensive. So, I've also sent a telegram to one of my allies in Vienna, Baron von Hoffler. You've probably heard of him. He's written a number of. He's an expert in occult matters. He is also one of our allies for the light, and he is willing to fund the entire trip. He's also wants to meet you in Vienna and get on board the train to go with you. He may prove very valuable. He says that he has a lot of knowledge about this Fez, which he'll convey to you when he's there.
Are you coming with us?
And that's the other thing I need to discuss with you. See, one of the reasons why I know Demir is because he got me out of Constantinople. A number of years ago I was there, and there was a cult. The cult was rising up around a particular man named Salim Makriat. and what I had to do was I opposed him, and in the process, my life was in danger, and I had to get snuck out of the town. I'm afraid that if I go anywhere back near Constantinople, I'll be murdered. So I can't go.
I understand.
I honestly can't. I can't. I'm begging you to go, but I really feel bad about it because your lives will be in danger.
Oh, well, we fight for the light, so our lives are always in danger, as long as there's darkness out there.
Now, the soonest we can get you on board the train is Wednesday evening. You'll have to leave actually Wednesday morning from London to get to Dover, to cross the Channel on a steamer, to get to you'll go to Calais, and then you'll head towards what the hell is the name of the place? Chalon-sur-Marne, where you'll meet the train heading for Paris. Actually, heading out of Paris, and that will take you all the way to Constantinople.
It's a long trip, isn't it?
It is, but you'll just be going directly there. It should be like a 4-day trip.
Okay.
Excellent. I'll
And-
pack immediately.
Do you have any
And
suggestions of what we should bring with us?
whatever you think you need.
Okay.
Of course, that also gives you today and tomorrow to do any other investigation you might need to find out as much as you can. There may be information at the library. There may be stuff in Pook's a room. Be stuff all over the place.
Okay.
Do we know what the cult is named?
Oh, this cult, I have no idea. The cult, I actually don't have there was no real name. It was just sort of forming around this rather charismatic man, but they were dangerous. They were dangerous just because they were insane.
Is it? Do you suspect it's the same cult, or you're talking two different cults?
Oh, I doubt that it's the same. I have no idea.
Okay.
As I say, in my travels, I've encountered quite a few different cults. And there's an Englishman involved, which I'll have to see what that's all about. Mencalf.
Mencalf, yeah.
Mencalf. The name sounds vaguely familiar to me, but I can't think of where.
And he was well dressed.
So, what would you like to do? And the professor says that he's going to go to Pook's to see if he can find out nearest relatives.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna go back to the to Pook's apartment, talk to the landlady there, do a bit of more investigating.
I mean, back to White Castle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you guys discuss amongst yourselves whether you're going to split up or stay together. Or...
Tom.
Yes.
1890.
Yes.
Foreigners, passengers would need to come through ships through the channel, correct?
Correct. We'll be taking a steamer.
And they'd all come through the same location. I can't remember what it's called, but they'd come through the channel, and they'd all come through the customs in
Yes.
London, correct?
Correct. Yes.
All right. So, all we need to do is go to customs and ask for Turks who arrived at least in the last month.
Yeah, we could search for the name Mencalf.
But I believe that Mencalf may not have left. Possible that he could have always been here. Maybe if we find these Turks, we can find out who Mencalf is.
Oh, right. Mencalf might be from London. Well, wait, so do we have a name to go on? Like, there's got to be thousands of Turks coming here.
Mm-hmm.
We have no name.
Pook?
Well, he's a student here, so.
Oh, okay.
What if we retraced Pook's steps?
Well, if you did that, you might come across these Turks, but it might be dangerous for you. Well, I look at you, Captain, and I say, you can handle yourself.
Nothing that a good old 12 gauge can't handle. It's
Just be
possible
careful.
that... Oh, go ahead.
I was just saying, just be careful. And, Marcus, arm yourself with something at least.
Yeah, I'm going to stop somewhere. I'm going to see if I can pick up a blackjack.
Okay.
Or a baseball bat.
Maybe a sock with ball bearings or something, right?
Or a cannon.
Well, cannon's too final for him.
So who's going to take the hat? Or be in charge of the hat?
Probably not me. If I'm retracing Pook's steps, if I'm going to the university, then going to his house, and then retracing every single step he took in the last 3 days, then I definitely shouldn't be in charge of the hat.
The professor says, of course, he can keep the hat until you guys get ready to leave. So he can keep the hat.
Yeah, hold.
He doesn't
Yeah,
want to
hold.
keep the hat. Oh, and he tells you, he says, after you guys left and I got home and I put this hat in my house, I swear I could hear it whispering in the middle of the night.
Maybe just keep it in your office then.
Well, you don't
I'm
want
sure that these people want the hat, so I'll make sure I put it someplace safe.
Yeah, keep it secret. Keep it safe.
Mm-hmm.
Why does that sound familiar?
You should write that down.
Yeah. Go tell Mr. Tolkien that story. Yeah. All right.
He's around here, isn't he?
Yeah, he
Sounds
should.
like a little...
Yeah. So's his buddy over there in the.
Mr. Lewis.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Awesome.
All right.
So
So Matilda, is it okay? Can I come along with you?
Yes.
And,
I'll protect you.
and Captain, are you
I would.
you okay on your end?
I would also like you all to do a idea roll.
Okay. What's my intelligence? 60. 81. That's a fail.
All right, I made it.
I did not.
Okay. Matilda, as you're sitting there and you guys are getting ready to leave, something in the back of your head tells you that you recently read something in the newspaper about the Fez collector. And when you mention it, you all kind of recall reading something in the London Times about a Fez collector being murdered just the other day.
Well, that can't be a coincidence.
Where was it murdered?
Well, you don't have the article in front of you, so you don't remember.
Okay.
So which one of our two teams wants to investigate that?
Well, we can investigate that when we come back from speaking to the landlady.
Okay. Because I'll have my hands full probably going to a bunch of different places.
You said that was in yesterday's newspaper?
You're not sure if it was yesterday or the day before. It was a couple of days ago. Let's see. Today, the date of today. Let's see. This is
August 7th.
7th.
Yeah, August 7th. Correct. So it might have been last week sometime.
Just in the chance, we're in a cafe, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there maybe an old basket or something where people just throw their old newspapers?
Yes, there is. And there's, because people like to read the newspaper while they're here.
Mm-hmm. I'll start to dig through it.
Okay. Go ahead and do a spot hidden roll.
Fail. There's so many papers.
I'll try to help him,
Do the same. Go ahead.
and I make it.
Show off.
Wow, you really did make it. So you suddenly reach down and you go, here it is. Can you
Wait,
read
is that my screen or is that intentionally blurry?
I intentionally did it because it's the same stuff from the.
Okay.
I hand it to you, Marcus.
The Rothreath Rotherhithe. Fez murder. Cowardly killing of elderly antique Fez collector criminal gang still at large. Last Thursday night, elderly Fez collector Mr. Joshua DeVore, age 70, of number 3 Blithering Lane, Rotherhithe, was murdered during what police say was a burglary of his Rotherhithe residence. Described as eccentric but essentially harmless, Mr. DeVore was brutally bashed to death with a blunt instrument and his house ransacked. Mr. DeVore was noted for his collection of fezzes from all over the world, as well as fez-related literature and memorabilia. No fezzes appeared to be stolen from Mr. DeVore's extensive collection of that particular headwear. A glass case containing examples of fez literature and rare books and manuscripts was overturned and smashed. Police suspect the damage was done in a mad search for money, by the perpetrators. Inspector Kendall of Scotland Yard believes it is the work of a local burglar gang terrorizing the vicinity. These rogues are getting bolder. It was only a matter of time before someone was done to death. The inspector assured the Times reporter that the gang would be apprehended and feel the full measure of the law. Rotherhithe residents are urged to secure their premise at night and to take appropriate precautions towards these persons.
Well, there might be a bit of evidence left there if we can get in there.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps the police, they didn't know what to look for. We do. So.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed.
Is the Rotherhithe's residence on the way towards the apartment complex that we're going to?
Probably not, but
Okay.
London's London. It's not that far away.
Okay. Where do you want to go first, Marcus?
It's up to you. Or should we split the party again?
1-1-1.
I mean, we would cover more tracks that way, but you have no weapons. You have no way to protect yourself, so I fear for your life and your safety.
Safety in numbers, then it is.
Isn't that sweet, Marcus?
And she like wraps her arm around, like interlinks her arm with yours and say, "Oh, don't mind him. He's just jealous." Come on.
Is your profile picture accurate to your age?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So I'm gonna guess 30s, late 20s.
Late 20s. But you never ask a woman her age.
Yes. No, I was doing that out of game.
I thought she might be a witch.
So, I will head to the university, get a schedule for one Mr. Pook, then head over to his house and retrace the steps from the house of 3 days ago.
Okay. Professor Smythe shares with you Matthew Pook's address as far as where he actually lived.
Fantastic. Thank you, Professor. for providing this valuable information that I should have had before I left.
Excuse me.
He gave it to you. Okay. Remember, you're reading this out of a journal, so things are not always written down exactly the way they happened. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the captain stuff first.
All right.
So where are you heading first?
I'm going to go to the university and attempt to get Pook's transcripts and his class schedule so I can follow his day in the past 3 days. In the past 3 days, it would have been a Friday, which means that he would have gone to class, presumably, if he was a decent student. And then I'll go to his house and I'll just retrace his steps from there. Go to each one of his classes, talk to professors, the whole shebang.
Okay. Now, of course, nobody knows that he's dead.
Exactly. So I will be inconspicuous. The guy with the guns and the saber will be as inconspicuous as possible while questioning professors and students.
There's that military guy. And all the women are like, oh, he's so cute.
As I twirl my mustache.
Yeah. All right. So you find his schedule. You find all of the things. Nothing seems odd or out of the ordinary, although he didn't show up for class on Friday. And ultimately, you get to his address where he was living.
All right.
It's a dorm room, and he was on the second floor, and there are quite a few other people around, students, and the house. What do you call them? The house, like the house mother, but in this case, it's a dorm. It's a male dorm, so
Frat house?
the house father. No, it's just a dorm. It's not really a frat house.
Like floor header or whatever. All right. All right. So, which door is his door?
Well, what I was going to say is you encounter the adult that's in charge of the dorm first. And
Does he stop me?
Yeah, he's like, what do you want?
Unhand me. No, I wouldn't do that. That would make a scene.
I say so. What do you want?
Let's see here. What can I do? Fast talk's not very good.
Charm.
Yeah, I'm gonna charm him. My charm's pretty good.
His
I'm
name,
just trying
by
to
the way,
figure.
is Josiah Griggs.
Josiah Griggs.
Yeah.
It's a dumb name, kid.
He's not a kid.
That's a dumb name, sir. You're a grown man.
You're dumb. Look at how you're dressed.
I'm just trying to figure out how to word this to where it makes sense, because I'm gonna totally lie.
Remember, you are military, so.
Yeah, I'm playing that to the advantage. Like I said, I'm just trying to figure out how to word it. I say, my good man, I'm going dorm to dorm to speak about joining the Royal British Military.
Really?
Yes, sir. Captain Leopold. And I hold out my hand.
He shakes your hand. He says, well, it's daytime. Most of the students are in classes right now.
I'm simply here to pass around flyers. However, they seem to have dropped as I walked. They scattered around. So I was just wondering if I could speak to any students you had here.
Well, as I say, most of them are in classes right now, so far as I know.
You bastard, Josiah. You dick, Tom. All right, I'm gonna do a charm. I only got a 45 in that, so yeah. So let's do a charm. I'm gonna say. I say it'll only take but a few minutes. I go through the hall. I leave.
Do you pass your charm?
Yes. Oh.
By
By 2
of course, I have no reason to suspect anyone who's dressed in military outfits, so go on up. Whatever you want to do.
I jollily, that's not a word. It's the word now. I jollily pat his shoulder and I say, "Good man, good man, good man. You wait here." And I walk inside.
All right. So you go up the stairs and fortunately for you, the names are on little name tags outside each door.
Oh, good.
So you get to Matthew Pook's door.
Okay. I'm just going to gently turn the knob. Is it locked?
It's not locked.
Why would it be locked? Now that I think about it, this is a dorm.
You got a guy downstairs making sure nobody comes up.
Yeah, so no one does this. Okay. Yeah, so I'm gonna go right inside and just close the door behind me. I'll make it quick though. I know that.
Okay,
No.
It's basically a single room. It's piled with papers and notes all over the place. The first thing that you run across is some letters to his parents. I will need you to do a spot hidden and a library use.
Oh God, Tom, my library sucks. It's base. Okay, but spot hidden's the 65, so I got that one. 15 on the spot hidden. Give me the 15 on library use now, please.
Well, I didn't say which one you had to roll first, so.
Oh, okay? So I got a 15. Which one does that apply to?
Whichever one you want, Tom.
You dick. All right. Actually, you know what? I'll take the 15 and I'll apply it to library use. Why not?
Okay. And did you get your spot hidden as well?
No. Hi, Father, give me strength.
Why the hell are you so honest, though?
I did not pass the spot hidden, but I passed the library use.
All right, you passed it pretty well. And once again, you guys are reading this in the journal. So, what you found in the room is a journal.
Oh God damn it!
Completely act out in another. No. That was
completely separate from this. We're doing Invictus now.
Yeah. Now we're really inside of an. My question is then whether you would like to read that now or bring it back and read it with the others.
Can I do a quick skim of it? The first 2 pages and the last 2 pages?
Well, there's only 4 excerpts that are worth anything, so.
Cool, alright, so
I'll
yeah.
say that you find them. You look towards the end. Obviously, that's going to be the most important part in this case because.
Yeah, the most recent, the last 3 days.
Right. So this is what you find.
Okay. Shall I read? I
Yeah.
shall read. Menkov has a powerful influence on the gullible. He carries the blood-red fez that Professor Demir described in a nondescript hat box of dirty brown. Neither he nor his minions seem willing to touch it. That was August 1st. August 2nd. My researches at the British Museum Library have called me away from time to time, but my regular checks on Menkoff and his minions reveal things are unchanged. They are stalking at a house at 3 Blithering Lane in Roth. See, yeah, Jeff, I feel you. That's a
Thank you.
hard
Rotherhithe.
Rotherhithe.
Those damn English people and their creepy names.
Yeah, stupid English people. I have asked around and learned a Fez collector lives there. Professor Demir says I should be cautious, but I easily outwitted the clods Menkoff has guarding the place. I am confident none saw me. You are a confident little bastard. Menkoff plans to depart soon on the Orient Express back to Constantinople. Oh shit! I saw him purchase tickets for he and his followers, though could not tell when they intended to travel. There seems to be something else he wants before he can leave London. It could be the Fez, since he came to London with it. It could not be the Fez, because he came to London with it. So we literally stole this from him. Awesome. I have decided to steal the Fez from right under Menkoff's nose. While he is busy in Rotherhithe, I shall break into his room and steal the blood-red Fez itself. With this as my prize, I can speed back to Constantinople and hand it over to Professor Demir. Imagine the look on his face. And then, dumbass, you put it on your head, and it possessed you. So good job. And that's all in the journal, by the way. So our characters are reading that, and it's just like transcribed, like annotations, like he was a dumbass and he put it on.
And and that's really all that you find of any value at Pook's lodgings.
Tom, I really don't think I should ask this, but if I were to push my spot hidden, if I were to push that, would I find something else?
You want to push it?
Yeah, I want to push it,
Or
reroll.
you just want to make another one?
Push it real good.
Oh,
Well, I don't know. Can I make a reroll and have no consequences, or
no,
is the only way?
We don't have to play that game. It's no, there's nothing else of any value in the place, except
Okay.
of course the address of his family, which the professor's going to get anyways.
Yeah.
But you spend, because of that spot hidden, you spend a couple of hours looking through all this crap.
That guy's gonna be so pissed off at me. I said I was gonna be in here only for a few minutes.
Yeah, I think he's forgotten all about you.
That's good. Josiah, you're terrible at your job, Josiah. I'm gonna look at you in the face as I walk out.
So what are you going to do next?
It's been a few hours, right?
Yeah.
So it's probably what, about 2?
We'll say 10. Let's see, you were there at 9:30. No, it's still before noon. Just before noon.
Okay, so it's okay. So there's still no one here.
Right. And let's, since once again this is in a journal, we'll just assume that you've left.
Yeah, sure.
And we'll get back to where you are. Okay. You two are together, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And where are you going first?
Let's stop at the landlady's place first.
Wait, so whose room was it? I thought we were going to Pook's room.
No, this is the room that they brought him in.
The room that you were in last night in Whitechapel.
Yeah.
Right, but I mean, do we know whose room it was then? I guess not.
No.
It was the room that was that the guy in the top hat.
Rented.
Oh, okay. It was his room.
Yeah, to bring Pook in. Leopold just checked Pook's actual room.
Got it.
So you end up back in Whitechapel, and you're not sure because it was dark last night, but you think that the woman that the professor was paying was the woman, is the landlady. Okay. About the same size and build. Just a little kind of chubby.
Okay.
She welcomes you inside. Her name is Mrs. Grimm. That's a
Right.
big name, Mrs. Grimm.
Okay. Okay.
And she says, how can I help you?
Yes, we were here last night with all that.
Oh, that was a bad mess.
It
The police
was.
were in here. Oh, my goodness.
And I'm sure it kept you up all night. I apologize for the incident happening. But I had a question or two for you. Did you ever stop up and look in on young Pook, the young gentleman that they brought?
She's like, oh, dear me, no. The noises that were coming out of that place were absolutely crazy. She says, I don't know what that Mr. Leeds was up to up there, but he said that it was somebody who was on drugs, and that they were coming off of the drugs, and they were having a hard time.
Mr. Leeds?
Yes, it was a Mr. Leeds that rented the room, and he paid me quite handsomely. But after 3 days of that noise, I had to call the police.
I see. And you never stopped by? You never seen...
Oh, no. I think that every day it was quite distressing. Some of the tenants started thinking that they were seeing things in the building, strange black shadows running up down the hallway. It was enough to make me want to move back to the country.
But you haven't seen anything like that while you were here?
Well, I think I did. I think I saw dark shadows all over the place. It seemed darker and colder in here than it ever has been before. Well, what?
And he didn't return last night, right?
No, they hightailed it out here once I called the police.
And you're saying they. Do you know about how many?
There were 4 of them.
4, including Mr. Leeds, or Mr. Leeds?
Mr. Leeds was quite well dressed. He's an Englishman. The other ones looked like them Turkish people with their funny red hats.
I see. Did you notice whether or not the sounds coming from the room happened more during the daytime or during the night? Or was it about the same?
It was constant.
Okay. That's just about. I mean, do you have anything else that might have happened, or something that you can think of that may seem a bit strange that you don't want to tell other people, but you can, any little bit of information will help.
No, but I hope they find that guy. They was criminals, they was.
Okay. I think for her time, I'd give her 10 pounds.
Wow.
Well, that's
like half a year's salary.
Well, she's, like I said, she's an aristocrat. She's got money. But she says, this is just for, the inconvenience and, all the trouble that was here. You should be compensated.
Maybe that fee could also go towards her letting us snoop around in the room.
Yeah, could we take a look at the room?
Well, with this kind of money, you could rent that room for 3 weeks. She says, go right ahead.
Okay.
She says, it's still messy, but go ahead.
I believe it will be. Thank you. And then we head up to the room.
All right. So you're up in the room, and of course you're seeing the aftermath of the room, but it's bright. It's more brightly lit because it's the middle of the day, and there is a window that was shuttered, but it's open now, and the window is actually wide open. It's summer. It's warm outside, and obviously to let the smell out. You can still vaguely smell the smell, but
okay.
all of the sheets have been stripped off the bed.
My vomit's probably cleaned up.
And probably burned. Yeah, there's stains from where you vomited.
Okay.
Yeah.
Look. So, what I need you to do is a spot hidden.
Okay. And I make it. Hell's bells.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. Well, okay, we'll start with Matilda. Matilda, you're looking around, and you notice that there is a piece of paper lying on the floor next to the bed. It looks like it fell off the dresser, and it's partly under the bed. When you pick it up, what you see on it are some symbols that look very much like the things that you were seeing on the hat.
Hmm.
They're scribbled, and some of them are scribbled through, and then another symbol is drawn, and then it's scribbled through, and another one is drawn, and it looks like there was an attempt to make a translation. But the only two phrases that have been translated are rising from the past and dominion over all.
Hmm.
Okay.
All right. So I placed that in my pocket.
Um, and Marcus, what you notice is on the dresser itself there is a notepad. Um, it's blank. There's nothing on it, but you think that somebody wrote something on it before, because there's kind of a indent in the paper.
Is there a pencil nearby?
Yeah, there is a pencil on the desk.
So I'll do the old trick where you lightly rub.
After you rub it, there is an address, and the address is in a place called, I don't have the address written down, but it's in a place called Shoreditch, which is not a great, it's kind of like Whitechapel. It's not a great area of town, but it's just an address, and there's nothing else. Okay.
No name, just an address.
No name, right? Just an address. Excuse me. And I'll let Matilda do one more spot hidden.
Yep. And I don't make that one.
Okay. So you don't see the other thing. I'll go ahead and I'll let Marcus do it.
I think it's over here. Yep, pass.
Okay. What you notice is that you notice some little pieces of paper on the other side of the bed, and they're little pieces. And when you pick a couple of them up, you realize that they are ferry ticket stubs, and they look like they're written both in Turkish and in English, and there are 9 of them, and they seem to be trips from Constantinople to an island called Prince's Island, and they're all from July. They're all dated from July. Not the same dates.
Okay, so just, you said ferry, Ferry.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, they weren't like little winged tickets that let you.
You sound
float
like,
around.
what the heck is a ferry ticket?
And that's what you guys find in the Whitechapel apartment.
So where to now? Should we head off to this address, or should we go back and look in on the Fez collector's residence?
Now you guys can decide if you were intending on meeting back up somewhere.
Yeah, maybe we could have agreed to met for lunch.
Yeah,
Because
we can do that.
it's just before noon.
Okay. While we're here in this neighborhood, perhaps you may want to purchase the item that you were looking for.
Yeah, where does one go about getting a blackjack? Is that, are we talking like black market sort of thing
At
there?
an international blackjack shop.
Maybe Maybe it's like one of those shops, like the flea markets, where they always sell like ninja stars and.
You know, there probably is very much a market like that. There's probably a farmer's market. There's probably people selling stuff on the streets. Um, yeah, you probably, we'll just give it to you that at some point or another, you find a blackjack, if that's what you want.
Okay.
And it doesn't say in the journal where you found it. I mean, why is he going to write that down? But yes, you found what you needed.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
All right. And you all meet back at the cafe for lunch.
I'm starving.
Minus the
Hooray.
professor. I'm sorry, Tom.
Oh, I said hooray.
Oh, okay.
We all met back.
So you meet back at the cafe, and you go over what you have learned so far. So you guys can choose what you're going to do next.
Do we want to keep
what
the
do you-
party split?
Oh no. Now we can just. I mean, there are 2 other places that we can look at, but I think from this point on we should stick together.
Okay.
Yeah, both.
Where would you suggest that we go, Captain? The man.
Probably. Oh, go ahead, Jeff.
I was just gonna say I can think of 3 places actually. That we have this unknown address. We have. Oh, right, where the Fez collector was. Yeah, 2 places. Sorry.
Perhaps we should stop at this unknown location. Maybe the Turks are there, or something that the Turks left behind is there, and if we don't go there soon, they could easily leave or pick it up. The Fez collector's house will always be there.
Mm-hmm.
True. All right. Let's finish up our lunch and we'll head out that way.
So which place are you going to?
The address, the one that
One in
Shortage.
Shoreditch, yeah. All right, Shoreditch. When you get there,
Wait, I'm not done my fish and chips yet.
I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm done.
And you notice written on the newspaper that no fish and chips. I've heard somewhere that that's not really true, that they didn't eat fish and chips like that, but I could be wrong. All right, so you head towards Shoreditch. And let me find that.
Is the captain actually walking around with a shotgun?
Are you?
To answer your question with chips in my mouth. Yes, I am.
Okay. Shoreditch is pretty squalid. It's rundown area. You end up at what are basically apartments once again. According to the address, it would be on the 2nd floor. Let's see. All right. When you get there, and you are outside of the door on the second floor, what do you do?
I think that we should be polite. I knock.
So,
Wait,
this is like an apartment in, like a living.
Yeah.
wait, before he knocks, I hold up my hand and say, and I put my ear to the door to listen to see if there's anybody there.
Okay.
Or if anybody's
You don't hear anything.
Okay.
When you knock on the door, there's no answer. And I want to emphasize also this place is really run down.
So there's no one living here. There's no one squatting here.
Oh, well, no, there's people in the building.
Oh,
Except
it's just
that they're all very low income.
it's a ragged-looking
There's
place.
probably raggedy kids running around in the street. And
Okay. So I mean, probably if there's someone in there, it means they keep their their door locked. So I reach down, grasp the brass, and I twist, seeing if it opens.
Okay, it doesn't open. It is locked.
I look at the other two and I say, should I give him the old kickaroo?
What if we try one of the neighbors' door? Maybe they know who lives here.
Perhaps, and perhaps if there's a window, we can sneak across and open it from there.
That sounds dangerous.
Yes, but we're dealing with a possessed hat, so can't get any more dangerous than that. Okay, who wants to? Does anyone want to take lead?
I'll take the door on the right.
Okay. You knock on the door, and very quickly the door swings open rather abruptly, and there's a woman there. She's in a kind of a house dress with her hair in curlers, and she's got a baby in her arms, and she's smoking a cigarette and blowing the smoke in the baby's face.
So not attractive.
No.
Damn.
And she talks just like this. One of these days I'm going to get a job in a nice place, someplace outside of Paris.
It's a place in the country.
She doesn't know where he is, but she says that his name is Bentley, and he's about, she says he's in his 30s. But she says he's kind of a sneaky character. That's really all she has to say about it.
Does she have a window that would be near the other window?
Well, I mean, yeah, she's got a window on the outside, but there's no ledge or anything.
Can anybody pick a lock?
We can just get to the adjacent window. Let's hope that there's an adjacent window. We can just lift it up. Like I said, if one of you guys gives a nice big cough, I can kick the door right in. There's got to be a big cough.
Okay, I'll do that.
Really? You're gonna cough really loudly?
Sure.
Kick the door in. All right, let's do it. You know what? Let's play it. All right, let's role play it. Yeah. So I go to the door.
Well, first we'll make sure the neighbor's door is closed and she went back to her business.
Yeah, she went back to her business.
We'll wait for the hallway to clear out.
All right. Go ahead and give me a strength roll.
All righty. And 28.
Oh,
You
sweet.
roll a 10-sided dice for damage.
For damage, okay.
A 1.
I got a 6.
All right, that's plenty. The door just pops open. The termite infested door frame, it just gives way really easily, and
So no need for a cough.
well, no, I mean it made a noise, but the cough.
Do I have to do a cough roll?
Yeah, yeah, to see if it coincides. Okay, so you bust into this guy's room. Now, it looks like whoever lives here has tried to keep it neat. It's still falling apart. The wallpaper is peeling. There's probably molds growing on some of the walls near the windowsill. His refrigerator is missing because they don't have those yet. There's a desk with an oil lamp, and there's papers and folders and all sorts of things on it. There's also some pictures of people taped up onto a wall, not taped up, but pinned up onto a wall. And it gives you the distinct impression that he's like maybe an investigator of some sort. Seems like he's got info on people.
All right.
Pictures. Do I recognize anybody?
Go ahead and do a spot hidden.
60. Yes, 60 out of 65.
Okay. Tell me what you're doing before I answer the question.
So you said they're pinned up on the wall?
There's something about like there's stuff all over the desks and he's obviously gathering information.
So I'll just, for now, I'll look at all the pictures on the wall, see if I recognize anybody. See if I recognize a name.
You do recognize a few of the people, and they're people like the mayor, a couple of like maybe members of the royal family. There's a couple of people that you think maybe are shopkeepers from downtown London that you've seen. But what catches your eye finally is there is a folder on his desk, and written across the top of the folder are the words "The Blue Rose."
Oh shit.
That's us. Does it
Yeah.
say how incredibly handsome I am inside? Is there a picture of me?
When you open it up, you realize that there are pictures of you guys, and they've been taken kind of covertly.
So it's not a good picture.
Well,
No,
if
the
you're
only
gonna take a
picture
picture
of
of
you
me,
behind
if you're gonna
is
take a
actually
photo
your
of
good
me,
side.
please have it on my good side.
Um, and there are some statistics written down, and the activities of when you guys meet and stuff like that, and Professor Smythe and what he teaches, and it's a little dossier.
So we'll be taking this with us. We don't need this sort of information out there.
So who do we think this guy is? Do we believe that this is
I
possibly
think
Top
he's
Hat Man?
dead if we see him.
You find a number of letters and stuff with the name Bentley Burnham, or he probably pronounces it Burnham, but Burnham.
I'll start looking through some of the letters then.
Okay. You don't find anything of any consequence, but you do find that he obviously seems to be gathering a lot of information on different people.
Anything else? So I'll take.
Matilda, why don't you go ahead and do a spot hidden?
Okay. And I make it by half.
You find a little card that says, oh, it says Birmingham Daily Post reporter.
I see. So this man's a reporter. Okay. Still, he
It
should.
looks like it looks like a press pass, that you pin.
Well, when we see him, we'll press his face up against something hard and hot.
Perhaps he was the reporter who investigated the broken-in house. He could know something. He could have seen something.
Perhaps.
Or
The
it's a
question is, why does he have a dossier on us and our little group?
I have no idea.
I actually look around a bit more to see if there's maybe some sort of information of where he might like to hang out at, like a pub, or if he has papers or something like that, business cards or something like that, of a place that he frequents often.
You don't find anything.
Okay.
Can I look at that card closely and tell if it's a forgery?
I don't know how you would know whether it was a forgery or not.
Just like, were letters cut out or...
I mean, it looks like a press pass.
Okay.
Okay.
Perhaps I should pay this Burnham a visit at his office, which he probably is at right now.
None of you have ever heard of the Birmingham, what was it?
Birmingham Daily Post?
Birmingham Daily Post. But then again, there's the London Times, which is a huge newspaper. There are lots and lots and lots of little newspapers in all the little hamlets and things around.
So it might be around here somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
We can go around and ask. Maybe a shopkeeper or something.
Perhaps.
Are any of these shopkeepers... Well, I don't know if he would know that then, because we're not from the area. I was going to say, are any that we recognize that would be local?
You wouldn't normally come into this neighborhood.
Right. Are there any pictures of Turkish people?
No.
So the question would be, why was this address written down at the scene of the crime?
That's what I'm thinking. Maybe Metcalf might have hired this guy to investigate us.
That's what I'm thinking as well.
Or, even worse, he's another target.
Well, let's not hang about here. Let's get a move on. Let's try to find a small shop here in this area to see if we can find this where this Birmingham is, or Burnham.
Okay, I can tell you that after you leave the residence and you go looking around the shops, you find no information. Nobody knows what this Birmingham Post is.
Okay.
Would it be possible for me to stop at the London Times and ask? They have to have some knowledge of other small papers. So maybe I could stop by London Times and just ask around, get some information.
The information that you get there is that Birmingham is a little town, like about 100 miles from London, out in the country.
That's why we've never heard of it. Okay. So then I look at my two comrades, and I say, what now? It seems like we're traveling 100 miles northeast.
There's no need for that. But let's go to the Fez collector's house, and then after that we'll meet up with Smythe.
Okay.
We could always make some phone calls too. Maybe
were there phones back then?
Oh, 1893? I doubt it. Not very many people would have had them.
Only the rich.
Or a newspaper.
Maybe even not. It's possibly not any. But I don't know.
Yeah.
There might. I don't know when they started becoming popular, but telegram is what most people did. All right, so you guys head over to the Rotherhithe address, and it's a nice little house, and there is a policeman sort of standing guard in front of a bobby with his little hat and dressed in blue, and he's got a billy club, and he's just sort of there.
Well, Captain, this is your This is your area of expertise. You are a man of the military. You can talk your way into this.
And with the comments inspired in me by the lovely young lady, I straighten up and I walk forward. Uh, and I say, "Good day, my good sir. We were wondering if we could possibly peruse the crime scene." And I twirl my mustache, even though what I just asked was ridiculously stupid.
And you look like a villain. Could you mind? And he's like completely mesmerized by your mustache.
Just gaze into it.
Gaze into my matching mustache. New superpower. Hey now, Governor, what do you want? What do you guys after? You could do a persuade roll if you wanted. You could
Yeah,
talk
well,
him into it.
I'm pretty sure my persuade is really shitty, though. It is really shitty, though, Tom. My charm's really good.
Well, you could use your charm.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? My credit rating is really high, though.
Oh. Do your credit rating.
Yeah. I look at it and I just say, well, come now. A man of the military, a young lady. We're just here to simply look at the crime scene. You know, see what all the fuss is about, if you don't mind. And 55 out of 70.
And he's like, well, all right, Governor, but don't touch anything.
Wouldn't dream of it. Boyos! And I walk inside.
All right.
Good job there.
I always do a good job, Matilda. Now onward.
All right. So now you're inside the Fez Collector's room. Very nice. It's a nice Victorian place. It's got a number of tall cases, glass against the walls with all different kinds of Fezes, different shapes, different sizes, different colors. Some of them very old, some of them falling apart, some of them in fairly newer condition. Some of them have embroidery on them. There's every kind of Fez you could think of. There is a case, however, that's been overturned and smashed, and that's on the ground, and there are a number of books lying on the ground, and aside from that, it's what you would expect to see in a house. And there is a desk over to the side, and it looks like he was robbed.
Okay. I'll take a look at the books that are around the case.
They seem to be just some of them seem to be old. They talk about one's talking about the history of the Turks, history of the Ottoman Empire. There's some there's one on what is
Haberdashery.
well, is that hat? I think that's underwear. I can't remember what. Maybe it is haberdashery. Yeah, how to construct hats and stuff like that. But other than that, you don't see anything there.
Okay. What about the case itself?
Well, from the looks at it, it either smashed when it hit the ground, or it was bashed in with something like a baseball bat, a club.
Can we tell if there's a Fez missing?
It doesn't look like Fezes were in this case. It looks like books were in this case.
Okay.
Perhaps a book was stolen then.
Was there something behind the bookcase?
No, although the wallpaper is a little discolored there because it didn't get exposed to the smoke and the air the way the rest of it has. You can see the shape of the bookcase.
Okay. And there's no. I mean, I'll say that we we spent some time looking very carefully throughout this room.
Okay,
See if
go ahead
there's
and do
any.
a spot hidden.
Oh, I critted on that. Nice.
Damn.
Nice.
All right, so Matilda, you go over to the desk. And it's a roll-top desk. The first thing that you find is a letter, and the letter is from a Mr. Leeds. And it's from Mr. Leeds, and the address is in Pera, Constantinople. The letter itself is offering the princely sum of £100 sterling for the book The Whispering Fez, which he understands has recently come into Mr. DeVore's possession. There's no address or anything other than
Okay.
that it was from Pera. The letter is dated 2 weeks ago.
Okay. Which would coincide with those tickets that we found. Well, that Marcus found.
You also find there's a ledger. He kept meticulous records about all of his collection.
Okay. When did he receive the? I'm assuming that he had the fez.
I need somebody to do an accounting roll.
I can do an accounting roll.
I can too, although I'm not that great at it.
I
What
have,
you got?
I have people for accounting.
What was that?
I said, what do you got on it, Jeff?
Am I allowed to tell him, Tom?
Nope.
All right.
You can both try. You're both looking at the
there we
book.
go.
All right, there we go. We wanted you to say it. We didn't just want to assume. Okay, that's a 3, and that's a 40. Oh, yeah, son, by 2.
Nice. I failed.
Okay. Well, when you look at it, it's all the little entries are in little tiny handwriting, and they're all written in very, very neatly, but hard to read. So when you look at it, you can read it. You see that the Whispering Fez seemed to be part of a job lot from an auction house. It was valued at £25 for its antiquity and rarity.
All right.
And let's see. From the other listings that you think that the only thing missing from this room is the Whispering Fez, the book. Okay. And it's actually telling me here, this has all taken you a couple of hours to look around and to investigate.
Okay.
Does the ledger say what lot number and where the auction house was where it was purchased? Because if we can get a lot number and if we can find out who was selling it, perhaps this Mr. Leeds, who I have a feeling is instead Menkoff, tried purchasing it there first, but our good dear collector outbid him. So maybe they'll have record.
I'm going to say no.
Damn you, Tom!
All right.
It wouldn't really tell you much anyway.
Give me a full name.
What was the name of that town you said? Was it Hurrah?
Oh, Pera, P-E-R-A,
Pera.
Constantinople.
Okay. Well, let's get back to Smythe and let him know what we found.
Onward!
Okay. So you head back. Where are you going to go to? His home?
Can I take a fez with me?
Touch nothing.
Don't touch anything.
All right.
Evidence. So we'll assume you go back to, in this case, you go to his residence in St. John's Wood.
Okay. Oh man, he froze.
83's characters have, of course, been here many times. I'm sorry, what was that?
Oh, your picture froze and you kind of faded out.
Oh, am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
Okay. So you end up back at St. John's Wood, and I'd say it's probably about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, we'll say. And you guys relate all of what you've found to the professor. And he says, well, then I would suggest that tomorrow you see what we can figure out about this Fez, at least what information might be available at the library and so forth.
Okay.
Now, that evening, you guys, you feel like you've become a little bit paranoid because out of the corners of your eyes, you keep thinking, there's somebody outside. And then when you check, there's nobody there. And did I just see a flash of red fez from outside? Nobody's there. You guys decide that you're just going to stay over because you're all a little unnerved.
Okay.
Do I feel some action about to happen?
Each of you, in turn, wakes up in the middle of the night at some point. And you swear you can hear something off in the distance whispering. But you don't know where the sound is coming from. Though you probably have some ideas of where it might be coming from.
The fans.
You also have disturbing dreams, and nothing in particular, but you guys are having a restless night sleeping.
So no sanity gain.
Yeah, you can gain back one. You can do a 1 die 4 to gain back whatever sanity you might have lost.
Awesome. Bloop. Right back to max.
There you go. So it is now Tuesday, and you get up in the morning, and the professor has prepared you guys some breakfast. Though it's not like a pleasant day sitting around eating breakfast and sipping coffee, so you have to tell me now what you're going to do.
So I'll say that, I'll suggest that we head off to the library and do a bit of research.
Yeah, let's head to the London Museum Library where Pook was doing his research and see what we can pull up.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, so
When was our train leaving again? Wednesday?
it leaves you need to leave tomorrow morning from London to get to Dover. You'll be taking a train to Dover. From Dover, you'll be taking a steamer across the channel. You'll land in Calais, and then you're going to go to I can never remember the name of it. You're going to be meeting the Orient Express will be leaving Paris, and you're going to meet it at like its first stop.
Okay.
Which is Chalon-sur-Marne, wherever that is. And you might also note, if you guys still have your map from the other part of the game, is that in 1893 it's a different route. You're going to be going through Germany instead of, there's no tunnel through the mountains yet.
Okay.
You got to go around them. All right, let's see. Where is my library? We'll make it fairly easy since we're at 10:51.
Wow.
What happens is this. Yeah, it's kind of exciting when there's lots of stuff going on.
Yeah, it just sped by.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and do me a couple library rolls.
Aw, yeah, base. 76.
I make it as well.
Oh, man. I failed by 6 points.
So only Wayne passes.
So we got 2 fails and one success. So, what we're going to say, to make it easy on you, is you spend most of the day here. You do your best to research what you can about the so-called blood red fez, or the whispering fez. And after hours and hours sifting through things, you do begin to find certain references to it. And in one occult book, you actually find a reference to it that provides you with what amounts to a spell that can be used as a kind of defense. You take all of these things that you find, copy down things, and you put it all together into a single folder that you've got, a valise. And this will be your so-called sacred tome of what your information that you've gleaned as you've gone along. So I'll let you read. You find 4 main things that are important, and these are the 4 things that you find. So you can take your turns, or take turns.
Who first?
Zeph, why don't you start first?
On the history of the blood red fez. The blood red fez was always an evil thing, made in the name of unspeakable powers. Powers so awful no sane man would ever set down their names. First, the fez was spoken of in the Ottoman courts around 1550, but some suggest it is older than that, dating back to ancient Greece. It was said to have the power to control men's minds and destinies in thrall to some ancient evil, old before time.
Okay. I won't read the spell. I'll read the information.
Okay.
A warning. Pay heed to this warning, that wearing this abomination called the blood red fez will bring calamitous ruin upon one, as one renders up one's soul and one's mind to the unearthly will of the fez and its terrible masters. Only those skilled in the ways of the dark arts can hope to survive such a thing, and for them, perhaps, the price is even more terrible. It is possible to control the fez and even halt its terrible purpose. Seekers after dark knowledge should consult the book, The Whispering Fez.
Alright, I'm going to read on rewards, but Tom, I need you to scale it down a little bit. I mean,
It's
scroll it
caught,
down a little
yeah.
bit.
Let's see.
I can read if that helps.
Yeah, it's just that your icons are kind of blocking the very bottom of it.
Oh, shit. Don't read. Oh, you've already read that. Okay.
Well, thank God. Do you want me
Um,
to read it? Or
Yeah, I can't seem to zoom in on it. Let's see.
Or to zoom out, maybe.
Let's see. Can I zoom out?
There we go.
Okay.
On rewards, drinking, bathing in, or simply spilling the blood of the prince while wearing the fez, said by some to bring princely favors of the dark gods, and by others to be the key of immortality. But such dark entities may view their principalities differently than our own.
And finally, the spell. And the spell is really written in Cthulhu, Call of Cthulhu-esque, but you get the idea. Go ahead and read it.
which one of us?
You can.
Okay. Spell. Delay Fez Degeneration. Costs 5 power, which is a lot of power. The casting time is 1 minute, which is also a really long time. This short mantra arrests the degeneration caused by the Fez for 24 hours by sacrificing a small amount of life force directed to the hungry Fez. 5 points of power are permanently lost. Permanent? Oh my god.
Wow.
It can be cast by the wearer by reciting the mantra, or by another person by touching the Fez and reciting. Once the sacrifice is made, the wearer suffers no further ill effects from the Fez that day, but remains at the same stage of degeneration. Power loss is manifested as mental fatigue. A person reduced to 0 becomes zombie-like. So don't get to 0, everyone. I am also not going to waste my magic points on any of you guys if you wear it.
Oh, these aren't magic points. These are power points. Magic points you get back. Power points you don't.
Yeah, so I'm not wasting my power points on you guys. Sorry.
Right.
Yeah, I thought it was magic points.
Yeah,
But realize, I mean, you've got like 60. Still, that's your mental,
your mental state.
Doesn't that bring down your sanity as well?
Right.
And it brings it down from the max, right?
Correct. Well, yeah, it's you don't usually gain things like power points.
Sad face.
All right, so I think that's where we will leave it until next week. Next week you will be getting on the train and getting the hell to Constantinople, hopefully before the bad guys do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you guys for playing. Thanks to all of our viewers for watching. We hope you enjoyed yourselves. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and if you like this, give us a thumbs up. Please tune in next Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the next episode of Horror on the Orient Express. Until next time, always remember, if there's no light left to guide your path, your only choice is to venture into the darkness. Good night and good gaming.